All right, let's dive right in. Have you ever felt like your brain is built for a marathon, but you're living in a world that only rewards a 100-yard dash? Yeah? If you're a deep thinker, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So today, we're going to explore how to not just survive, but actually thrive when you're wired for depth in an age that is just obsessed with speed. And look, that feeling, it is so common. The world today just moves at this breakneck pace. And if you're someone who's wired to question, to really analyze and pull ideas apart, well, it can feel pretty overwhelming. You know that moment, you're in a meeting, someone asks a question, and you just need a second to process it, but whoops, the conversation has already moved on. That's exactly the feeling we're digging into. So here's our roadmap for today. First, we're going to tackle this age of speed. Then we'll get into your brain's two managers. Think of it like a little battle in your head. After that, we'll cover thinking about your thinking and how to read for ideas, not just words. And we'll wrap it all up with why this depth is your greatest power. Sound good? Okay, let's jump in. Okay, section 1, the age of speed. So why does depth feel so overwhelming right now? Well, it really all comes down to the world we've built around ourselves. I mean, just think about it. Our social media feeds, the 24/7 news cycle, even a lot of our workplaces, they're all built to reward the fastest response, not the most thoughtful one, right? They're not designed for someone who needs time to gather evidence or consider the other side of an argument or just sit with being unsure for a minute. And that creates this huge mismatch for anyone with a reflective mind. And this really gets to the heart of the attention economy. What does it punish? Slowness. I mean, hot takes go viral, right? But careful, reasoned arguments, they just get buried. Emotional, punchy stuff spreads like wildfire, and there's just no room left for nuance. So in a system like this, taking time to reflect, it isn't just slow, it feels totally inefficient. And because of that, it kind of just becomes invisible. All right, so that's the pressure from the outside world. But what about what's going on inside? Well, to get that, we need to look at this little battle that's happening inside your head every single day. I want you to think of your brain like a company. And this company has two managers running the show. The thing is, they have completely different management styles, and they are always fighting for your attention, trying to get you to do things their way. So manager number 1 is the affective system. This is your gut reaction manager. It's lightning fast, pure instinct, and it's always screaming things like, I want this now, or get out of here, run. Then you've got the other manager, the cognitive system. This is your logical manager. It's slow, it's careful, it weighs all the pros and cons, and yeah, it probably loves to analyze a good spreadsheet. And who makes the final call between these two? Well, that's the supervisor, your prefrontal cortex. It's up there trying to listen to the frantic screaming from the gut reaction manager and the careful, detailed report from the logical one, and somehow mediate. So whenever we do something that feels, well, irrational, it's usually because that gut reaction was just shouting way too loud for the supervisor to even think straight. Which, of course, brings us to the big question. So what do we do about it? If we've got this battle raging inside, and we're in a world that rewards the loudest, fastest voice, how do we actually manage this internal conflict? How do we give our slow, logical manager a real fighting chance? All right, let's get into our first strategy, thinking about your thinking. This is all about managing your internal world. The fancy term for it is metacognition, but really, it's just learning how to notice the way you think. Okay, so when that fast gut reaction manager goes into overdrive, it can trap us. There's a clinical term for this, cognitive attentional syndrome, or KAS. But what does that really mean? It's when you get stuck in those awful, unhelpful loops. Just worrying, ruminating, constantly scanning for what might go wrong. All it does is keep you feeling stressed out. And here's the absolute key. Trying to fight those thoughts or push them away, it almost always backfires. So the goal isn't to stop the thoughts from ever showing up. That's impossible. The goal is to change your relationship with them, to change how you respond when they do pop into your head. This is where an approach like metacognitive therapy, or MCT, is so powerful. It's basically a 3-step process. First, you figure out what your beliefs about thinking are. Things like, I have to worry or I won't be prepared. Second, you start to see how those beliefs are the very things keeping you stuck. And third, you learn new ways to respond to your thoughts, things like detached mindfulness. It's kind of like handing your logical manager a clipboard and letting it calmly take notes on the chaos instead of jumping into the fight. Okay, so that's a plan for your internal world. But what about that constant fire hose of information coming from the external world? Well, that brings us to our next section, managing how we read for ideas, not just for words.
Most of us were taught to read using our left brain. It's like a serial processor. It decodes one single word at a time. It's all about sounds and the text on the page. But your right brain, it's a parallel processor. It sees whole patterns, entire concepts, all at once. It's not about sounding out words, it's about visualizing ideas. And tapping into that is the game changer.
So, what's the trick? Well, you have to train your brain to stop seeing a long string of individual words. Instead, you want to start seeing what we can call idea clumps. These are just short, meaningful phrases that create one complete thought. It's all about processing information in bigger, much more efficient chunks. Here's a perfect example. Instead of reading, "but before we go into word by word," your brain learns to just grab the whole idea at once. So you see "but before" as one chunk, then "we go into," then an introductory discussion. Each one of those clumps is a single digestible idea that your brain can process in a flash. Now, the key here is that this isn't about forcing yourself to read faster. Not at all. The real goal is to get better at understanding the core idea the author is trying to get across. When you focus on comprehension first, you'll find that speed is just the natural result. It just happens. Okay, now let's bring this all together. We've talked about the challenges of being a slow thinker, and we've gone over some strategies to manage it. But now I want us to completely reframe this whole thing. What if being a slow thinker isn't a weakness at all? What if it's your biggest strategic advantage? Look, let's be real. In short bursts, speed wins. No doubt about it. For quick, simple, reactive stuff, being the fastest matters. But over the long arc, when you're talking about complex problems, meaningful work, building something that's actually meant to last, clarity wins every single time. The ability to see what's coming, to spot the patterns everyone else misses, to question the basic assumptions, that's when depth isn't just nice to have. It's absolutely essential. And I really want you to let this next thought sink in. In such a noisy age, depth is rare. And you know what? Rare doesn't mean weak. It means valuable. So maybe your thinking style isn't perfectly optimized for the chaos of today's world. That doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It means you're capable of seeing what's actually important. So I'm going to leave you with this final question to chew on. Think about it. Your emotions, your thoughts, your pace, it's all just data. It's information. It's your brain trying to solve an equation for you. So my question is, what is that equation? What's the unique, valuable problem that your way of thinking is perfectly designed to solve?